What's up, guys? Coach Vassar, thank you for joining me with the OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. If you find value in them, let me know. Information is in the description to support me. If you have any feedback, give me a heads up, shoot me a message on GroupMe, leave a comment in the video. We're gonna break down Sunday, June 15th. This will also repeat the end of the month on Monday, June 30th. We're gonna see strength on the treads, power on the rower, strength on the weight floor. The 2G is a timed-based run row as well. As always, we'll talk about the 2G first, then talk about the 3G, and then go from there. So on the treads today, we're gonna see 2 blocks. We're gonna climb for 8 minutes in block 1, and then descend back into flat road in block 2. For the rower, it's gonna be sandwiched between the 2 tread blocks. You're gonna hit a 100-meter all-out row. Each one is a chance to beat your last. And then on the floor, we're gonna see 3 blocks. Start by constructing movements, then challenge your core with the straps, and then finish with total body strength. Looking at the treadmills today, there's 2 blocks with a row block in the middle. I would recommend putting out wipes on the rowers either during the warm-up or before a class. So that way, if you have a group on the rowers, they could wipe it down and then head on over to the weight floor after the 3-minute base row for the warm-up. That way the tread group, when they go to the rowers, they have a nice clean rower. All right, so as far as the treadmill section goes itself, they're gonna choose their own intensity and try to collect as much incline as possible as they do an 8-minute tread. They're gonna start at flat road, and then every 0.1, if they jog or run, or every 0.05 as a power walk, they're gonna increase their incline by 1%. For this one, essentially, if they hold their base, then by about that 3 to 4% incline, it's gonna start to feel uncomfortable because it's flat road. Maybe they start at a push, and as the incline goes up, they taper off on the speed, so that way the effort stays very similar. Lots of ways to kind of coach this through. For the bikes and striders, they're gonna start at their base gear, and then every distance checkpoint, they're gonna add a gear and keep climbing. However high they get at that 8-minute mark, they need to remember what that incline was, because they're gonna start that when they eventually come back to the treadmills, okay? Looking at block 1 of the actual row section, they'll have 90 seconds to head to the rower, and then they're gonna do a 100-meter all-out row, rack and rest, and then do it again. With 3.5 minutes here, we should see at least 3 solid attempts of pure power output. That 100-meter row, probably 30 seconds or less. Hopefully they take about 30 seconds to a minute of recovery before they go again. At the very least, the water should come to a complete stop, because that takes about 20 to 30 seconds anyways. So if they are truly going at an all-out effort, it should be at least a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 or more ratio of work to rest, okay? 10 out of 10 leg drive, stroke rate 28 plus. The main thing is developing that power. So this is a row distance where it's beneficial to work on keeping the heels planted, and instead of sliding that seat all the way to the front, only come in about halfway, so they kind of load up like if they're doing a jump squat and then exploding back, okay? After that, that's it for the rower. They'll wipe it down, go back up to the treads, and then they're gonna start at the highest incline they were at. And then just like before, every distance checkpoint, they're gonna change incline. Now we're gonna lower. Eventually they'll get back to flat road, and they're gonna hold that until they hit a 30-second all out at the 8-minute mark. So block 2 is 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So hopefully if they can maintain the speeds that they saw in block 1, they should get back to flat road before you call time. Okay, another way of approaching this is as they lose incline, opportunity to increase speed more than what they took away from the speed in the first block. All right, now when we look at the weight floor, 3 different blocks, they're all set up differently. Block 1, we're gonna see some rep and recover, where we're gonna have 4 movements, where the first 3 will eventually combine into 1 mega movement. And then they have a buyout finisher essentially for the final 30 seconds. Block 2, we're gonna be using the straps. Block 3, at their own pace, work and rest. So we're gonna see in block 1, they'll have 2.5 minutes to complete 8 alternating reverse lunges, 4 per leg, 8 bicep curls, 8 front squats, and then 8 speed skaters. When they're done, they rest. Recommendation for this one is to actually use a moderate weight for the bicep curl, because they're gonna use that same weight for all the movements when it eventually gets combined, okay? And the bicep curl will probably be the movement that they are the weakest at compared to the reverse lunge and the front squat. Because I can tell you now, even myself, I could front squat way more than I could bicep curl. Okay, so pick a weight for that bicep curl. That way it flows very smoothly on the next 2 more rounds. Okay, every round is 2.5 minutes. So the 3 movements in that speed skater should probably take people around 90 seconds to 2 minutes to complete, which gives them, about 30 seconds to a minute to rest before round 2. Round 2, we are going to combine the last 2 dumbbell movements. So they're going to see the alternating reverse lunge for 8 reps, but then they're going to do a bicep curl to front squat. So they'll curl the weight to the shoulders, hold it there, perform a squat. Once they stand up, they lower the weight, lock out the elbows. That's 1, bring it back down, squat, and then lower back down. That's 2, they have 8 reps of that. And then the speed skater. For the 3rd round, same idea. We're going to combine all the movements now. They're going to do 2 lunges and then do the bicep curl to front squat. That makes 1 rep, and then they'll do 8 reps of that. And then, of course, with the speed skater. When they finish that, they rest, and then their finisher is their choice between any of the 4 movements for 30 seconds each. If reverse lunges are not happening today, my recommendation is if you have the space available, keep the benches out, have them do alternating step-ups instead of the reverse lunge. That way they're still getting that unilateral work. Because if you have them do squats, they're already doing front squats later. So maybe do step-ups instead. Now, block 2, this is going to be the challenging one for you as a coach as well as for the members. They're doing 2 different plank movements from the strap. We're going to have a high plank pike and the high plank alternating knee drive with the feet in the straps and the hands are on the ground. Now, the key thing for this movement is obviously how they get into the strap. Take some time. I will post a video on the best technique to get into that position. But the other thing is, if your TRX is like right against the wall, you want to make sure that they are away from the wall, so that way they're not putting the strap against the wall and using that as a way to hold their plank. We want them away. That way it forces lat engagement to pull them forward and keep them active. For the high plank pike, they'll be in that plank position, hips go up, come back down. A knee tuck is a great alternative if they don't quite have that range of motion to go up and down like that. And then they go into the knee plank, the high plank alternating knee drive. Now, the key thing for this one is they want to move the leg slow, because as they pull one leg in, they don't want the straps to slide, because then their feet are gonna change height and their hips are gonna have to rotate. So one leg comes in, slow and controlled, comes back out, then the other side, back out, and they're gonna alternate. If they go too fast, there's that chance where they will lose the pressure on the strap and one foot will slide up and down, and then they're gonna feel themselves twist. Okay. When they're done with those 2 movements, they're gonna rest. As far as rest goes, I would recommend just have them place their knees on the ground and then just sit up for a second. Give their arms a break and then get back to it. This is one where if they struggle with the straps, they could do this body weight on the floor. So they'll do like a plank to downward dog, or they could even do like a walkout variation for the pike, and then do the high plank knee drive without the strap. The 3rd block, we're gonna see deadlift to alternating low row, and then half kneeling single arm shoulder press. So whichever knee is down, that's the side the weight is on, they'll press that weight up. And then alternating low side plank. We're on the forearms, they rotate to one side and then the other. High plank to the side plank would be a great option for that one. And then the deadlift to the alternating low row, they're gonna hinge over, and then when the arms are straight, one arm up, back down, then the other side, back down, okay? Obviously people could deadlift way more than they could low row, but the idea is the constant movement creates that fatigue to challenge their grip strength as well as their core strength. And that's gonna be the finisher will be the speed skater from block 1, and then that's a wrap. Now, when we look at the 3G on block, the treads are gonna see 2 blocks, the rowers are gonna have 1 long block, and the weight floor will also have 2 blocks. On the tread side, it's gonna be same thing as the 2G, except for it's gonna be 6.5 minutes. So 6.5 minute tread, every 0.1, add 1%. If they power walk, every 0.05. Bikes and striders, they'll have their distances. And then block 2, they'll start at the same thing at the highest incline, work their way down. They will only have 6 minutes to get back to flat road before you count them down into a 30-second all out, okay? Now, on the rowers, they're gonna see a 30-second all out row, rack their handle rest, repeat it a second time. Can they match or beat their distance? And then they're gonna have two wide bell med ball exercises, single leg tricep extension for 8 reps on each leg, followed by the split squat hold angled press. And that's where they're gonna press that weight 45 degrees out in front and slightly upward, and then back down. They'll do 4 with each leg in front, and then they go back to the row. So they'll always do a 30 row, rest, 30 row, rest, 2 med ball movements, and then go back to the beginning. And they're just gonna repeat that for 14.5 minutes. Finisher is gonna be a 30-second all out at the very end. On the weight floor, it's the same thing as the 2G for block 1, except for the rounds are only 2 minutes each, but they are only doing 6 reps for each exercise. So fewer reps, but also less time. And then the second block, luckily there's no strap work in the 3G, but for that second block, we're gonna see the 3 work and rest movements. We're gonna have deadlift to low row, half knee lunge shoulder press, and then the alternating low side plank. And then for the finisher, they'll get their choice of either the reverse lunge, the bicep curl, the front squat, or the speed skater. Block 1 also has that same buyout, so it's an opportunity for them to do something different on block 2. And there you go. That's gonna be on Sunday, June 15th. Also repeats on June 30th. Other than that, coach it down.